thank you for that opportunity. We've been engaged in the community for quite some time. As you may know, the Flickertail Wind Project is a community founded project, and the goal was to provide economic development for the broader community throughout Wells and Eddy County. And so as in the process, we actually were approached by the We Wind Board and New Rockford Area Betterment Corporation, requesting that we would participate in a community benefit agreement. And we're excited at the opportunity because we've heard feedback from the community that, you know, certainly there's taxes, there's landowner payments, but is there something in it for the broader community? And so just this week we entered into a letter of intent with the New Rockford Area Betterment Corporation, and that includes the We Wind organization and Minn Kota Power Cooperative and the project. So we've entered into a long-term agreement where the project will fund compensation prior to construction being completed. It'll address, you know, needs in all of the communities in this area. It'll address health and safety for construction. And then for the long term, there'll be compensation. There'll be a new board formed. Members of the community can participate in the board, and funding will be distributed throughout you know, this area. We're quite excited about it. It's a meaningful amount. What's also included in there, we've heard feedback for folks that are living in and around the project that don't have, say, infrastructure on their property. We wanted to ensure that there was compensation. And so we've set up funding for that. So that's part of this letter of intent, is that the project would put together a source of capital whereby if folks want to participate, I think we've heard discussions around getting a waiver, and we've explained that that's nearly impossible to try to get everyone to sign an agreement. And so what we wanted to offer was compensation available to landowners within a mile of a turbine, where they would be able to apply and get that compensation on an annual basis. So we're trying to listen, we're trying to address you know, the needs and opportunities for the community to benefit from this project, because that was the #1 goal. And so we're quite excited about it. I think there'll be some press coverage on that. We're very excited about it because we believe it's in the spirit of being a community-based project, and I think it's going to help throughout, beyond taxes and other compensation that's going to come to the community jobs. This is one additional thing, and I think it's the spirit of this area, right? The Betterment Corporation is not looking out just for one area. They want to cover a broader area by forming this new board. So wanted to share with you, you know, we've gotten really good feedback here at Wells County and Eddy County, and we're taking action and partnering with the community. So just wanted to share that information. You'll probably see something in the newspapers coming up, and I just wanted to make sure that you knew kind of why and how that came about. And it just came together this week. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Well, that was my question. That this is a very recent and new development, right?
It is.
As far as the compensation package.
Right.
Okay.
So what are you saying? Can you give some specifics as to one of the reasons I'm asking the question is so many places that I've visited with, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, they say when it comes to wind projects, run, because they tell a lot of stories and they don't keep their word. Okay? That's the simplest way I can put it. Okay? I'm not against this. I'm trying to figure out where this is. Okay? I'm trying to figure out, you guys come and say a lot of things, and I guess I was very disappointed in the meeting. I thought it would, most of the people came there and thought it was going to be an open forum that they could talk, and that wasn't the case. So somebody got lied to. I don't know who. And so that was not in the best interest of the people that were against it. They never got to say their piece. And so that upset them quite a little. Now, what you just said, that you're thinking of the mile setback, that's what you're saying, mile setback with variance?
We've heard there's concern about a mile.
Yeah.
You just, go ahead.
So, why did you not start with that? Because what I'm understanding here is you guys are gonna try to get away with what you can get away with. That's the simplest way to play it. And now that you're getting enough resistance, now you're ready to party, or now you're ready to parley. So, I'm done.
Sure. Can I answer your
Yep,
first
you
question?
bet.
Sure. That's not the facts. We have engaged with folks in the area. I think what we've heard is, folks weren't willing to sign an agreement, receive compensation. So this is not new. We've been out talking to people in and around the project. So we have engaged with folks in and around the project area, offered compensation related to that. The challenge is, right, there's zoning in place that has certain requirements, and we design our project based on those requirements. And what the concern is, changing that now so late in the process, that's the hardship that we're faced with. And as far as the open house, there were no parameters that guidelines on exactly what that was supposed to be. We wanted to host it. There will be hearings. So we have not applied for a permit in Wells County. And a part of that process, there will be hearings where we go through that process. The state of North Dakota will have local hearings where people have the opportunity to share that information. I think I appreciate the feedback. We didn't have clarification exactly what was expected of us, and we had to turn around and host that within 1 week. And so it was, we tried to be as responsive as we could and be open to communication. We continue to talk with people and share information on a daily basis.
Just a minute ago, you said they're going to get compensated for that in that mile area. So what would be wrong with a mile setback with variance? You can always go closer.
The challenge with the waiver, right, we have to go to every single individual landowner, and we have approached them, and they've told us no. So that's a requirement.
Is that a sign? If they've told you no?
The rules don't require a mile for wind turbines in this county or in the state of North Dakota. So that's not an established ordinance as of now.
That may change soon.
It may, that's right. And that's up to you to decide that. What we're saying is, we heard feedback that there should be compensation for folks in and around the project area.
Is everybody going to get the same compensation, or are some people going to bargain for a higher price and you'll give it to them?
We want to avoid the bargaining. That's why we want to make the money available, and if people want to get it, it'll be an equal amount that everyone gets the same amount.
So all those people should be present when the figures are decided?
Yep.
You'll stand by that?
Like I said, this just is coming together, and we're rolling that out, whether it's a collaboration with the county on how that gets distributed. We're open to work with you on that. Right now, like I said, we've just entered into this agreement, and it's from We Win and the New Rockford Area Betterment Corporation. They want to take care of the community. They want to take care of folks in the area.
I think it would be in your best interest to do away with the mystery, because there's a lot of mystery here about a lot of things, okay? And so, I was outside of the building where you guys had your open house, and I was just out there visiting with people. I wasn't talking about the wind. I didn't want to. As they came out, they made comments to me, okay? And they said, we didn't learn anything tonight. Everybody wants to talk in circles. And so, that, as what I was hearing, that's my concern. That's my job, to ask those questions. And so I'm telling you, do away with the mystery, you might get somewhere. That would be a very good thing for you, because there's a lot of people that are not happy because of the mystery. Now, if I was to say, you'd come to my place and say, well, we'd like to do this, we want to make an agreement with you. I'd say, well, yeah, I'll think about it. Talk to me tomorrow, talk to me the next day. I'll think about it some more. I don't really know what I want to do. I might do it, I might not do it. Well, pretty soon you wouldn't want to come talk to me because there's too much mystery. So now you know why they are saying what they're saying. okay? Do away with the mystery and you'll get a lot further down the road.
But Brian, I don't know what this mystery is. Everybody had an opportunity to talk to the people at that open house.
I realize
They
that.
would have answered those questions. So if you didn't get any questions answered, it's because you didn't ask them to those people.
Okay, now
So
tell me
what's
this.
the mystery?
Tell me this. People came out of there, and some people went and asked the same question to the same one, and they got different answers, because they compared their stories. So,
That's
I'm
a
just
we
trying to
said,
tell you
she
what I
said
hear,
thing, yeah.
because that's the feedback. Now, you think I'm lying, that's your business.
I didn't say that.
Well, you insinuated that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
There is somebody in the crowd here. Tim, are you willing to answer a couple questions if I asked you?
Sure.
He sat in there, I didn't get there quite right at 6 o'clock. He sat there up, listened to the tape. I went and sat and talked to him. He had 3 or 4 questions he asked, and I don't know, did you get a straight answer out of
Nope.
any of them questions?
Nope.
And you listened to the tape.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's only one of them, that he asked 3 or 4 questions and never got any answers to any of them guys that you had up there. So, Brian's saying they're outside doing this, so that's all I wanted to say.
Maybe you want to ask your question right now?
So define, I guess we gotta define mystery.
I mean, I don't know where we're going with this, to be honest with you. I don't know what else to do or what else to say to
I'm not
you.
asking for anything today. I respect
Okay.
your position. I wanted to share information to you
Okay.
as a commission, so you had advance notice of information that's going to go out in the community. I try to respect that you have that information. I think it's a very positive thing for the community. I understand there may be questions. I believe there is a very thorough process when we apply for the actual permit, where all of the information will be available, and you'll be able to make sure that that information is available.
Why does it have to wait till then? Why can't people hear about it now? I mean, this is what I don't understand.
Right. There's a process as we design this, right? And everyone's asking exactly which turbine are you going to have. We don't have that information yet. We're designing around that. So there's various turbines in the market. And in today's market right now, we're seeing, that, there's challenges, and we want to make sure we're understanding the setbacks. We want to understand what we can design for. So this is all part of the process, and we will have that information.
So it would be like me owning farmland and not knowing what it's gonna cost me, not knowing what I'm gonna pay for rent or chemical or nothing. You mean to tell me you guys started this without any thoughts, and you don't have a direction, and you don't have a plan? I'm sorry, that doesn't sound good.
Commissioner, I want to disagree. That might be the perception.
That's what it looks like. That's what you're telling us, that you're gonna do this as you go, because you don't know what you're doing. You gotta design it as you go, and that people in North Dakota don't operate that way, most of these farmers and stuff. So I'm trying to be as positive as I can from the feedback I'm getting. And so I'm trying to tell you, you better get your act together.
Appreciate the feedback. We're not designing this as we go. We're taking information. There's so much that goes into this. Hundreds of studies, feedback on different ways that it's going to get designed. And so there is a process to do it, and it's very thorough, and we're doing it very thoughtfully. So it's not making it up as we go. I apologize if my comment was taken out of context.
I got one question. Do you have any plans in like the next month or two of any more meetings, or what's kind of your plan for the next month, say?
So right now, as you might be aware, there's zoning discussions going on, and we'll be actively involved in those zoning meetings. Out of that, we'll understand what the zoning requirements are, and then our plan is to finalize what can get built based on the zoning that's available, and then we'll have meetings, and then it'll go through the approval process township level, county level, state level. So there is going to be a series of meetings held where the public will have the opportunity to be involved in the process. So there will be several
Well,
meetings.
you're gonna have to post them meetings and do whatever you have to do to try to do what we have to do. So, we gotta get on with our
Yes,
meeting.
exactly.
Yeah, no, and
Okay.
I'm sorry I distracted. I wanted to provide just an update on what's happening. And thank you for your time.
Okay.
One last quick question, and it won't take long. What's your last permit? The state? Where do you start as far as the permit?
The state.
Township first, county next. The state is the ultimate.
That's right. And then
Big
there's a number of, other permits, but those are, when it comes to the actual site permit, that's correct. So it starts
It's the
with
state.
township, county, and then the state.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, we have to move on. Is there any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, I think we need to visit the motion that was brought forward by the zoning commission last meeting. We never dealt with that.
The motion from
We
the
have a mile
zoning.
setback with variance. We never dealt with that. I think we need to deal with that today.
So,
May I?
That's in addition to the agenda. You can put it on whenever you want to.
So at our last zoning meeting, which was on Tuesday, it was determined that we will have another public hearing on the 24th of June. They want to update the ordinance to be similar to another counties, including a mile setback. And I think what you might want to do is, it's difficult in the fact of, well, if you do this 1 mile setback now with the current zoning, and then a month later you're going to have another whole set of ordinances on the same thing because of the complete rewrite of an ordinance. So you might want to wait a month.
Okay, then answer this question. In May, we got it sent to us that they made a motion at the zoning deal to go with a mile setback.
Yep, and then it was sent back to the county zoning commission.
it was recommended.
Okay, so what was the consensus of the last meeting? What was the
So-
vote to go with the mile setback
The
at that meeting?
consensus was to completely rewrite our ordinance with a mile
There was
setback.
no vote?
You don't make a motion to have a hearing. It was just a recommendation.
Right, so basically it was,
Nothing got approved, and we really don't approve until, the process is, we approve something after this hearing.
right, so nothing is approved as of last night, there were no motion, or Tuesday night, there were no motions. I am currently in the process of writing it to fit the Wells County structure of our zoning. Then we'll have a public hearing on the 24th. After publication of notice of hearing, and then in your July 8th meeting, then it would be brought to you, the whole ordinance with the mile setback, because they did 4-2 to agree to have the mile setback. There were 6 people there. from the
So it'd
board.
be safe to say it will pass.
Well, it'll likely pass the zoning, and then you guys will have to approve it at your
We
meeting.
can't vote on that then? as
Why can't we
commissioners today?
vote on it today?
Yeah, and then it's over.
What's the
game is
reason
done.
we can't
Everybody
vote
can
on it
move on.
today?
The fight's over.
Well, you could vote on it today, but that you're also going to have to look at it again in a month. because it'll be a new ordinance. Right,
Right.
because there's more changes
The
coming.
bigger issue that you should be as concerned about or more concerned about is that there's no wordage in our zoning that talks about decommissioning the project. Okay, you familiar with that?
Okay, so we can put that in there?
That's
What this here, we have,
The 24th.
actually what we recommended was to use Burley County's wordage, and Burley County has sufficient language in there.
Did they decommission it?
No, there's wordage. There's a bond and things that the wind tower people have to put up in the case of a decommission. And the state The state has all that language in it either. The
Okay,
wind towers.
then why do I get these phone calls from people from other states that I know and they heard about this, and they say, run, 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 run? Because there's been nothing but trouble there. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, because there's a lot of issues about a lot of things when it comes to wind farms.
Well, read that, I gave you this morning, and I think that you'll see the
But-
other side of the
But
story.
the question, you know, the same thing, look at their Rockford Canal. Now they're gonna give it away.
Wow.
And that was gonna be a perfect situation, and then nobody listened to anybody. I just don't understand the technology that we got going. I'm afraid that this is gonna happen. I didn't want to say this, but I'm gonna. I'm guessing in 5 years or less, wind towers are gonna become obsolete because they will not be able to operate, and if they ever takes the tax credits away from them, it's done. What are you gonna do with them then?
Well,
Because technology is getting so advanced, they're figuring out how to gain energy a lot better than with wind towers.
A lot cheaper.
Yep. When you're talking money, let's talk real stuff.
well, getting back to the original question, is that wordage isn't in Wells County's zoning, and that's why that hearing is such that it'd be my suggestion, you know, we're not out much by waiting a month, and then we can do it all.
You know, pretty soon we're gonna get sore toast from kicking the can down the road.
Wouldn't you want to make an important decision like this with a full board?
But
You're a man short today,
I
Brian.
realize that, but the next meeting, they're
This
gonna
is a
come up
pretty-
with some more stuff.
pretty
and they're gonna
important
kick it
decision.
down the road again.
Well, then let's just table this.
We've only talked about it for the last month.
Right.
Let's table this
By July, you might have an
by
ordinance.
July 8th. Maybe we'll have an answer and maybe we won't.
You have an ordinance.
We gotta get on with our
We
meeting.
will have an ordinance, right? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Now you can leave. Yeah.
Thank you.
We might need
We
you later.
almost had you leave 3
I
times
know.
May regular meeting minutes, did we get a chance to look at them?
already. Motion to approve.
Second, motion by Stan, second
Second.
by Brian Miller. Any more discussion on the May minutes? If no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Timesheet review, did any, Brian, you looked at them, I know. Nothing,
Normal.
nothing? Okay. The bills.
Question on that, Dan. So there's like a couple different payments to the NDA CO resource group.
That's technology stuff, it's computer purchases for people that come up on rotation.
That's why there's some in different departments.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
We have more people in jail nowadays.
Probably.
Well, 8,900, that's
Yep,
way more
probably.
than normal, I'm just assuming that. Is that paid monthly?
Monthly.
It is. Okay. You
And
just-
if you don't see something in a given month, there was nobody held from
Right,
this county.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, it would be paid monthly.
Okay.
And those rates are going to rise via legislation.
Yes, I heard that, or read that. Correct.
Okay, we've got 2 bills on dry insurance. One is for the North Dakota Reserve Fund. So why wouldn't that be lumped together?
Different departments.
That's what it is, in the front page, dry insurance for $66,000.
Yep, that's liability insurance for the county. It also includes the fairgrounds, et cetera. So,
The other one's social services.
and social
This is a
services
different
would have their own.
Just checking.
Otherwise, just some general repairs in the road department and fuel. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Second for approving the bills.
So move.
Any more No discussion on the bills? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Balance sheet.
All right, we'll just run through some of this, and I know some of this gets redundant, but seeing this only once a month, sometimes you just need to be gently reminded. I'll go from top to bottom, so if you want to follow along in that regard. Capital projects, you know, that's something we instituted this last year in taxing season to generate the kind of capital we would need to be able to match a grant. And so that balance currently is in excess of $250,000. You see your House Bill 1066 money, just a few lines below that. The portion that's there under the warrants column, the $60,172, was the completion of the fees for the Highway 5 project over by Harvey, so that leaving you with a balance of $1.873 million. General fund sitting at just over $5.5 million at this particular time. I told you several times that 911 fund will never be self-sustainable. There is a piece of legislation that was passed that I think will slow that descent a little bit. We'll talk about that later. And that's going to stay that way until the end of the year. And it just becomes a county response. It'll never come out of the hole by itself, put it that way. Road fund you see there, I'll put that in conjunction with the federal aid road, which is, there is no such thing anymore, but there still is $2,528 sitting there, along with $175,000 in the highway tax. Gives you a total, and we'll discuss that a little bit later, that is under $500,000 now. And to think that 6 months ago, and yes, we did just go through tax collection time and so on, it's roughly half of what it was in terms of debt from 6 months ago. So we are going in the right direction, but it's not going to get its head out of the water all by itself. We have to keep going in this direction. So I'll go back to, as wildly popular as the paid blading portion of that thing was, it was an absolute necessity. So going on down, VSO fund, we do not spend out of that, but that is an area that we added on. We do have expenses for veteran service officer. That will be a transfer at the end of the year. So any tidbits of tax money that comes in there, that will continue to incline, and then it'll get zeroed out at the end of the year, and we'll start over again next year. But we do not pay directly out of that fund. Okay? County emergency, still sitting at 373. So that is slowly, very slowly going to continue to decline. Jail and transportation still at 381. Stan, you just made a comment regarding that particular fund, but we levy for that, but we've been levying far less than the request purposely, just because there's almost $400,000 sitting in that fund. County agent, we've discussed that before. That too will continue to be a negative number, and we'll have to make some kind of a conscious decision at some point in time. And then if you go a few lines further down where it says soil conservation, all of that, every dollar that you see there in that balance section will get paid out in July. Because we pay everybody again in July. We pay the townships, ambulance, fire, cities, we pay all those 4 times a year. We pay the school districts every month of the year. Okay? So all of those, which is a little bit less than $1 million, it's $960,000 give or take. So all of that is going to get spent out in early July. And then you'll start seeing a few dollars coming back here and there. It won't be much anymore from tax collections for the rest of the year, but then they will get their final payment in November. Okay? Do you have any questions on what you see here? If not, we will turn to the investments piece, which is the next page. It says certificates of deposit at the top. We presently have $7.37 or $327 million either in CDs or a money market account. and you see all of the splits that are listed there. The next couple of CDs up for renewal, you've got one from First International Bank and Trust that comes up on 7/7. So just the